Welcome to the February 2026 Town Hall training from Scrubs to Syllabi. I'm Brandy Haley, your facilitator for today, and we're going to look at bridging the gap between clinical excellence and academic responsibility. By conclusion of this presentation, I want you to be able to understand Arkansas State Board of Nursing educational standards, clarify teaching scope of practice, distinguish PN versus RN faculty roles, support transition from bedside to academia, and promote compliant, effective teaching. The first topic we'll discuss is understanding the regulatory framework, why it is important, and what your role is within those regulations. When you hear educational standards, do you think curriculum rules, faculty requirements, compliance stress, or all of the above? The answer is D, all of the above. But we want to eliminate option C as much as possible, which was compliance stress, by ensuring you understand the educational standards. This understanding starts with knowing that the educational standards are not optional. They are regulatory. You must know where to find the educational standards for reference. That is your responsibility to know where to locate, just like you know where to find the policy and procedure manual at bedside nursing jobs. When you go to the Arkansas State Board of Nursing website, you will click on the Laws and Rules link, and then under Rules, you'll click Part 125. When you hear anyone refer to Part 125, that is the educational standards all nursing programs are regulated by. The standards will open in a PDF file, and I encourage you to download and save for quick, easy access. This is what the form looks like. It is currently 18 pages, and it is separated into different sections by codes. The official name is Title 17, Chapter 22, Part 125, but you will hear this abbreviated to Part 125 or simply referred to as the Educational Standards. You see CAR followed by numbers. CAR stands for Arkansas Codes, and the number reference chapters and sections where the educational standards are related to nursing practice. So 17 CAR 125-101 means Regulation Title 17, Arkansas Code, Part 125, Section 101. ASBN does consider education to be a specialty practice. Therefore, any nurse education, classroom or clinical, must hold an Arkansas nursing license to be able to teach, or a compact license allowing practice in the state. Again, this is regulation, and all nurse educators are responsible for knowing about the educational standards, just as you would know about the Arkansas Nurse Practice Act. Thinking back to the mission of the State Board of Nursing, public safety is our number one goal. Students are considered the public. Therefore, it is the duty of the State Board to ensure nursing programs are held to standards, which include rigorous curriculums, qualified faculty and program directors, and program evaluation. As a stamp of approval, showing the public that a program is regulated and has met the standards, approval status is granted by the board when all areas are in compliance. Within the educational standards, these 4 areas are outlined as faculty responsibility. That is why your program director is having conversations with you about your curriculum, about the creation of tables that outline how assignments are linked to program outcomes, working on course mapping of how course learning objectives are connected to assignments, developing and reviewing of policy, discussions and reflections on evaluations from students, advisory board, clinical partners, faculty, employers, and preceptors. Then you are putting all the analysis into your systematic evaluation plan, which is how you are maintaining program integrity. It's vital you understand what all is in Part 125. As a new faculty, you probably have felt like, what did I get myself into? Or why don't we do it this way? Those are very normal feelings and thoughts, and understanding the why behind the reason will help you put the puzzle together. I know you're bringing in fresh ideas, and sometimes those ideas are worth exploring. So next time you want to explore a change, first consult Part 125 to see if it violates a regulation. Next time your program director says we have to do it this way, go to Part 125 to understand why the change is being made. When we talk about scope of practice, most of us immediately think about our RN license or our PN license. What can we do and what can we not do clinically? But as faculty, we function under a different scope, a teaching scope of practice. This scope is defined by the Arkansas Nurse Practice Act, nursing educational standards, your institutional policies, and our assigned role within the program. As faculty, we are accountable not only for patient safety, but also for student supervision, evaluation, and compliance with regulatory standards. Unlike bedside practice, we are now legally responsible for appropriate supervision, ensuring students are prepared before performing skills, evaluating their competency, documenting deficiencies. All of that together is a significant shift. This slide highlights one of the biggest transitions. As a bedside RN, you're providing direct care. You're responsible for patient outcomes. You intervene immediately when something goes wrong. As faculty, you're now supervising care. You're responsible for both patient safety and student development. Your primary responsibility is educational, not task completion. This means sometimes you must allow a student to struggle through clinical reasoning rather than stepping in immediately, as long as patient safety is not compromised. The focus shifts from getting the job done to ensuring the student learns safely and effectively. Let's consider this scenario. A student administers the wrong dose of medication in clinical. Who is accountable? What documentation is required? What does ASBN expect from the faculty? The educational standards do not address this scenario specifically, but what those standards imply is that the faculty member is responsible for ensuring the student was appropriately supervised, that the faculty addressed the error immediately, that the faculty followed facility policy, that the faculty documented the student incident, and that the faculty initiated remediation if required. The board expects programs to demonstrate oversight, evaluation, and corrective action when necessary. This is where documentation protects you as faculty. Mistakes happen, and those mistakes are teachable moments. In clinical teaching, documentation is not optional. You must document. That documentation should include evaluations, student performance issues, remediation plans, clinical warnings, and policy violations. If it isn't documented, it didn't happen. Remember, your documentation may be reviewed during board audits, accreditation reviews, or student appeals. Clear, objective, consistent documentation is going to protect the student, the patient, the program, and you. Now let's clarify differences between PN and RN faculty roles. In PN programs, your instruction is going to focus on foundational nursing skills. It's going to require more structured supervision, of direct task-based clinical expectations. In addition, in RN programs, you're going to emphasize leadership, delegation, and clinical judgment, teach on a broader scope that will increase the student's complexity and autonomy. Faculty qualifications and expectations reflect those differences under the standards of education. RN faculty often require graduate level preparation due to the curriculum depth and leadership components. In practical nursing clinical instruction, students require close, direct oversight. Assignments are structured and specific. In RN programs, students gradually assume more autonomy. Faculty assess prioritization, delegation, and complex decision making. You must teach at the level of the program, not below it, not above it. Your supervision style should evolve based on student level and program expectations. Transitioning from scrubs to syllabi is harder than most expect. Some common challenges include letting go of task completion, moving from expert clinician to novice educator, evaluating peers or former colleagues, maintaining academic documentation, and balancing scholarship and service responsibilities. So, within these new role identity challenges, let me offer you some suggestions on overcoming. The first challenge, new faculty step into a complete task rather than guide the students. So how to overcome that? How to overcome letting go of doing is to pause before intervening. Ask yourself, is the patient unsafe or am I uncomfortable? Use the coaching instead of rescuing rule, which is ask 1 to 2 guided questions before stepping in. Reframe the student success. Remember that student learning is much greater than having a perfect workflow. Productive struggle builds clinical judgment. It is a mind shift. In clinical practice, you may think, I'll fix it. But in education, you need to think, how can I guide learning? Your role is not to rescue. Your role is to facilitate thinking. Sometimes the best teaching happens in silence when you allow a student to process. So in clinical, you may say, talk me through your thinking. What are you considering right now? The next challenge, feeling confident clinically but insecure academically. How to overcome it? Give yourself some grace. Accept the identity shift. You are now a developing educator. Seek mentorship from experienced faculty. Review course objectives before every class and every clinical day. Print it out and study it. I suggest the handbook as well. Attend faculty development workshops. The mindset shift is going from clinical expertise does not equal teaching expertise. Teaching is a learned skill. The third challenge, there's discomfort giving critical feedback, especially to experienced LPNs returning to RN school or peers transitioning into roles of now being a student. You may have worked in a setting with someone who is now your student. So you're going to overcome it by using objective rubrics. Let your rubrics guide the evaluation. Anchor feedback to course outcomes. Refer to the syllabus. Refer to the handbook. List the page numbers if warranted in your feedback. Use the behavior impact expectation model, which says, look at the behavior observed, determine the impact on safety and learning, and then provide expected correction. For example, when you add, this is something you may say to a student, When you administered medication without scanning, it bypassed the safety protocol. The expectation is full compliance with facility policy, and pull out the facility policy showing where that's at. Focus on behavior, not personality. The fourth challenge is underestimating the amount and importance of documentation. How to overcome it? Document during or immediately after clinical. It needs to be fresh on your mind. If you cannot document during clinical, take a small notebook with you and write in it, then transfer to official clinical documents. Use consistent paraphrasing that is aligned with the rubric language. This is where having a blank evaluation tool on you during clinical is important. Keep written records of remediation and student meetings. If a student calls you, send an email recapping what was discussed. Print that email. Put it in the student folder. This is a huge tip and will help prove or disprove allegations of being unfair or playing favoritism. Avoid subjective language. Use observational facts. If a student appeals a grade, your documentation becomes your defense. And the last challenge listed here is feeling overwhelmed by committee work, accreditation prep, research expectations, how to balance your faculty outcomes. How to overcome it? Prioritize teaching competence in year one. You will get to scholarship. You will get to service. You need to focus on becoming competent in your new practice area of education. Clarify your workload expectations with leadership. We all learn differently, so talk to your supervisor about your needs. Use a structured weekly calendar that blocks your grading time. Shut your office door. Turn the ringer off on your phones. Respect that time of others as well. Know that it's okay to say not this semester when appropriate. Your eagerness is appreciated, but as long as you are volunteering, others may assume that you have a handle on things. It's okay to say no, respectfully, with offering a reason for your decline. Partner on scholarship projects rather than going solo. Surround yourself with those that you can learn from. This is not listed here as a common challenge, but this feeling is real. The challenge is feeling like I don't belong here. It's called imposter syndrome, and that is nothing but the devil trying to discourage you. Do not listen to that voice. How to overcome it is remember you were hired for your expertise. Normalize the learning curve by giving yourself grace. Build a faculty peer support network. Ask for a mentor. Watch others teach. Find your own way of doing things that feels comfortable to you. Not all educators teach the same, and that's okay. Celebrate those small wins. When you have a successful clinical day or you see the light bulb go off with the student. Separate student dissatisfaction from teaching effectiveness. Do not take student evaluations personally. One of my favorite things to remind people is that others' opinions of you is none of your business. You do what is right, follow your policy, be humble and kind, and remember what it was like to be a student. Let those opinions be just that, a thought someone else had. Transitioning from scrubs to syllabi is not about losing your clinical identity. It's about expanding it. You are still a nurse. You are shaping future nurses. Some practical teaching strategies to share to remain compliant and effective is use clear clinical expectations. Utilize the standard evaluation tools. Conduct structured pre and post conferences. Ask your students those open-ended questions. Align the assignments with program outcomes and let students understand the alignment. Remembering that consistency protects you legally and academically. Clinical judgment is not taught by telling. It's taught by questioning. Instead of saying, that's wrong, or try again, or where in the world did you come up with that, or putting an X on their written work, ask the student or write in their paper, what cues are you noticing? What concerns you most? What is your priority? What evidence supports this decision? These questions build reasoning, and that's what nursing education emphasizes. As I close, I want to offer you 5 tips that will protect your peace as a novice educator. Know your program handbook. Review ASBN standards. Document consistently. Maintain licensure and continuing education. Seek mentorship. Remembering that compliance is not accidental, it is intentional. This recording is being uploaded to the ASBN YouTube channel. Thank you so much for rewatching the replay of this training. Please feel free to email me with any questions that you may have later.